Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming tonight. Today we're going to try and cover off the annual visit report for league representatives and just give you a few pointers on how to mark the form. Actually, using a mark is not the purpose anymore. So the past couple of years have been very challenging for everyone, and the pandemic has had varying degrees of disruption to the delivery of the program at each squadron. So this year, completing the BCF 500 or League Rep Annual Report for every SSC is very important. And Ron helped me with this presentation and gave me a few pointers as to maybe how to approach our view of doing the League Rep report moving forward. So it's been suggested that we request a joint meeting between the SSC chair and the CO and provide a copy of the BCF 500 for each side to review and collaborate prior to the meeting. And then on the night of the meeting, explain the following to both parties. The purpose of completing this form is not to rate your performance. It is to identify the areas of your business that you may be having challenges with and to provide you with guidance and sometimes recommendations to improve it. Our goal is to have every SSC operating at the highest level possible. We are moving away from grading or marking SSCs, and as you look on the form, all the questions have either a yes or no answer. So we've moved away from putting points to the questions. A no answer is not necessarily a bad thing. There are many very likely to be justified reasons for a no answer. And by identifying it, we can then ask the necessary questions to identify the cause, then provide recommendations to have it changed to a yes when these questions are asked again next year. There are 5 different categories of questions, and each category is like a pillar that your business is built on. The weaker the pillar, the weaker the foundation of the business. You might ask, why do we have this meeting jointly? And there's 2 main reasons. With the revolving door of volunteers and staff at each squadron, new SSC members and staff very often have different perceptions of what is required and why. This exercise gives us the opportunity to clarify our expectations clearly in each of the categories to both sides so that we are all working and moving in the same direction with the same goals. The second main reason, sometimes you find that each side has either different opinions of or no understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the other side, nor the challenges they face in administering their responsibilities. By doing this jointly, it gives the opportunity to open or strengthen lines of communication between the SSC and the staff, or the SSC and the BCPC. This all contributes to building respectful working relationships and fostering growth. Remember, we're here to listen to you and the challenges you face in managing your business. Okay, so we're just going to go through some of these questions very quickly. And at the beginning of the report, it asks for identification of the squadron and who the league rep is and the SSC representative. And it gets into the cadets in Fortress and the cadets on parade. So that's something that you probably want to have conversation with the CO or one of his representatives, his or her representatives, to find out what the number of cadets is in Fortress as compared to how many are on parade. Okay, then you move down into the Squadron Sponsoring Committee and Military Communications. And this is one of the main reasons why you want to have this meeting jointly, so that you can see where there may be a breakdown in the communication and the requirements historically of the promotion policy with cadets to make sure everyone is aware of the policy, and just some other basic questions as well. And make it understood that the CO should be coming to the SSC meetings, and the chair should be invited to attend some of the squadron staff meetings as well, just to keep everybody in communication. Okay, and then moving down a little further, society requirements. And
excuse me, Gail, before
sure.
you move forward on that, before you move to the next section, if you can go back to the previous section. On question number 3, does the CO consult with the SSC chair concerning promotions for WO2 or WO1 and WO2 as per the operational guide? Please note that since the new MOU was signed, there have been requirement to have the operational guide changed. If you go online right now, you are not going to find the operational guide. It's been removed until such time that the amendments to it are made both provincially and nationally. This is a project that I know that they're working on nationally. Okay. Thanks, Gail.
And another point as well in number 7, it indicates that the SSC does the SSC communicate with the CO, and actually that should probably be reversed as to whether the CO communicates with the SSC regarding new cadet registrations and non-effective cadets, because that is the military side of the
Correct.
table. So probably the CO should be communicating with the SSC as the other way around, although you're very free to ask questions as to how that particular situation is going. It's not a secret. You're supposed to be working together on that. So, okay. And moving to the next section, the society requirements. And here I'd just like to make a note in that I think it's an important point to bring across to the SSC that whether or not they're aware of the compliance checklist, because the next 2 sections, both the society requirements and the financial requirements, work part and parcel with that compliance checklist. So if you put it to the SSC that a good recommendation would be to keep a binder, and the SSC would have in that binder 2 various important documents, in my opinion, would be the bylaws and constitution for the squadron, as well as the compliance checklist, because in that way they've got it right up front, right readily available to them. And all the requirements in the next several questions there is on that checklist. So it gives them an immediate reference as to what's needed and at what time. So after their AGM, there's certain documents that are required when they start up the SSC information form, the Form 4, all that kind of thing. So then also when you're doing your interview for your league rep report, you've got the checklist there to go back with them and refer to whether or not they have been submitting their minutes, their monthly minutes and their financial reports, and just helps you to help them understand the importance of all these documents. And it's not that we're giving them marks as to whether or not they've got them in, but it's assisting them in having meeting the requirements for their society standing. So if they lose that standing, it's a government requirement under the Societies Act. So that's when they fall into trouble, is when they stop submitting their minutes and their financial reports. They get far behind, and that's when they start running into troubles. So that's my recommendation, is to have this binder available and have those documents at the beginning of the binder, and that will help them keep on track. Okay, any questions so far? Ron, you had a question?
Mute, Ron.
You're on mute.
One comment, additional comment here. Question number 13. Did the SSC chair, have you begun to or completed the SSC chair annual report, BCF 202, due May 15th? Now, remind the chair at this point that the information that they compile in completing this report, they need to keep it handy, because later on in the year, when they have their annual general meeting, it's the information that they have in this report that they would be presenting as the chair's report in the meeting. They do not need to reinvent the wheel or to go back in and do it all over. They've done it once. They have all the information handy. They can just pull that up and present this to the membership of the society for the annual general meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a quick question, Gail, and I'm sorry I should have
problem.
asked when you were on the previous page. It's just a curiosity, and I think we discussed it before, and I don't remember the answer. Why the request for the gender breakdown in effective speaking?
That's a good question. I
Old
think that's
habits
a
die.
national-
Yeah,
Yeah,
Old habits die hard.
it
I think
kind
that
of
comes-
sends the wrong message in this day and age. But if there's a reason
Yeah.
for it, awesome. But we just don't know what it is. So I've had the
Yeah.
question, and I couldn't answer it. So
Okay. Well, I'll check with
Terry.
National on that.
by no means am I suggesting we change it in the next day or so, like
No,
next year, for
I
September,
understand.
if it's an issue. Yeah.
No, I think it was just something that came from National as to where the program was. I don't know if so much as heading or where it was. So that's definitely something we can look into and update that. So it's often hard even to get an answer
Right?
when I've been asking at the squadron level, as the chairperson doesn't always know how many cadets are even involved in the effective speaking program. So
Yeah, especially lately in the virtual world, it's been really hard since we
Yeah.
haven't been there to see what's going on. So
I think it's the old story. It's the old habits die hard, because years ago they used to want to know how many male and female, but now it's saying in this day and age, who cares?
yeah,
kids don't
that's
care.
probably
The kids don't care. All you want to know is how many cadets have participated in your program. Who cares with the
Right.
breakdown? The only time you'd have to care if you had to move them somewhere and you had to know whether you're a male or a female for accommodation purposes, then what does make an difference? But as far as the program is concerned, it really doesn't matter what you want to know. What you want is the participation.
we'll get that looked into.
Also, I had a question earlier, or a
Sure.
comment. Going back to the first section on Rob brought up about on question 3 about the operational guide, that it's being amended, but wouldn't the existing guide still be in effect until that amendment comes out?
Not necessarily. There have been changes. We have to amend the guide right now to be compliant with the changes that already have been made.
So what's the squadrons using right now as a guide if we don't have one? That's what I'm getting at. Right now, it's a free-for-all. Because normally, if you're going to amend a guide or anything like that, the old one would still stay in effect. And when the amendments came out and it was published, then you went with that one.
Okay, then.
Yeah, that's just
you
a point
have
of
in that
organizational.
point,
Yeah.
That's a good point, Tom. In that case, what you would do is to make sure that you stress the point to them that this is a guide.
Yeah.
Okay? It is not something that is written in stone. You let them know
We
Yeah.
that
could
there are
probably,
changes going to be made, but it is a guide.
As long as they're sort of following the guide, it's fine,
Yes.
But it gives you basically the existing one we have now. We know it's subject to amendment. It's going to be changed because everything does change. But at least they've got something to go by to guide them along. Yes, it's not cast in stone, but it gives them an idea which direction they should be going in. And when it comes to the amended, you're going to say, well, there's always amended. So when a new one comes out, then of course you throw the old one out and go with the new one. But if you don't have anything in there at all,
Right.
you could find some. All of a sudden, you're going to go back to the old days where the squadron chairman figures they're the boss and the CO, and the conflicts start all over again. So try to
I'll
avoid
just
all
make
that
a note
stress.
here that
Yeah.
we'll put on there that there's changes pending and maybe
Yeah,
we can
pending.
get
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I know. The old one is. There's probably a whole pile of stuff in there that has to be. I don't know when the last time it was written, but I'm sure there's been a whole slew of changes since then. But still, until it comes out, you should have something there that guides you along.
Okay, I'll make a note and bring it up at our directors meeting and see if we can't get it put back on with just the note that there's changes pending.
Yeah. Okay.
And they'll
That's
be
just
coming out
just
shortly.
something. I don't think we should be personally not have anything, have a nice big void in there because it'll start opening up a whole can of worms when there's nothing there to guide anybody.
Right.
especially with new COs and new chairs coming online, and everybody's learning. And now they haven't got any. If they, in effect, wouldn't have anything to sort of, well, like this tells me I should go this way, blah 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 blah. At least it gives them some a point of reference.
Right.
Okay, that was all.
Okay.
That's all. I was
right,
just.
thank you. And we'll move on to the next section of the SSC communication. And I've just put a note in here. For instance, number 20. It asks if there's a newsletter, blog, website, etc. And it doesn't really give you room on this form to make a response. So what we're asking is that you put your response in on the third page under the comments, so that you can make note of what their website, blog, address, just so we have it for information. And then if there's elaboration on other sections of the questionnaire, if there's no answers, if the no box is ticked off, we're asked that you also make note in the comments as to the reasons for the no answer, so that moving forward next year you can check back and see if there's been some changes made that has helped them get into the yes category as opposed to staying in the no. So it just helps to for us to understand whether they're needing more assistance and how that assistance is going. And I know this year's is the last 2 years have been with the COVID situation, in that there aren't going to be a lot of answers, especially like for number 23 where it says hosting special events and competitions. Of course, we haven't had them, so other than the effective speaking. So again, for this year, probably that's going to be mostly a non-applicable response there.
Gail?
Yeah.
Question number 23, maybe a slight spelling correction?
Yeah, I saw that. If
okay.
So, I made a note of it. Okay, and yeah, okay. So again, just reiterating that if you get no responses, then it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just gives us room to sort of know where it is that they need some assistance. Okay. Moving on to the administration section. Just some questions, again, that can be referred back to if you have the checklist handy. Something to review with them, whether they're understanding the requirements due to the Societies Act, and the reason behind us asking for this information is so that they can remain in good standing under the Societies Act. So, and then with regards to number 30, the SSC completing membership registration and screening process on a regular basis. And the league rep is to ask for current membership list from the SSC, understanding that it's an ongoing thing, but it also helps the office to understand whether they're compliant with the screening process and whether everybody on board is actually screened. So, you know, to help them in that regards too, and help them understand the importance of the screening process. So a very important point to make note of there.
Yeah, again, on that one, I usually get a copy from the BCPC office of the current ones they got for the squadrons I deal with, then go back and ask the SSC whether this and compare the two, see if there's any discrepancies.
Yep,
And
that's
what
a good
usually
plan.
happens with that is the SSC comes back and asks for a copy of the list from us.
Yeah, so they usually what happens is probably maybe a couple pending that haven't been fully haven't been fully done up yet, and vice versa. So it just gives it a bit of a check. That's all you just basically use it for myself, just to have a check one way or the other. Because sometimes very rarely do I see any major changes on either list, but sometimes you spot the odd one, especially ones that are getting expired.
Okay, and we recently sent out the questionnaire to all the league reps with 3 questions asking to give us some assistance as to where we're heading with the training program. And one of the questions that did come up from a league rep was what the reason was for asking for the league rep report, an annual league rep report, and what happens with it when it's completed and sent in. So I think we've pretty much I've reviewed the reasons for asking for this annual report. And what happens with it is the office holds a file in compliance with the Societies Act. We have to have that file on each squadron, each SSC. So this league rep report gets attached to that file for each squadron. So when you have a turnover of membership, a lot of times the new members coming on don't understand the process. Files and information goes missing. So at least if we've got these reports in one central location, and if each squadron, each SSC is keeping up with filing their documents, then all the information is in one place, and the new people coming on can go make a call to the league office and ask for that information from the past. It gives them some history as to where to move forward from. So extremely important, and again, another requirement from the Societies Act that this information be kept on file in a central location. And we recently did take over from the lawyer's office in keeping the Societies Act, everyone in compliance. So Vicky holds all those files and does the filing to the province for each squadron. So that task has come to the BCPC office from the lawyer's office. So that's the reasoning behind asking for these annual league rep reports and keeping everything on track. Okay.
One more point here,
Yep.
Gail. Sorry
Okay.
to interrupt. Usually also at this point where you have completed all of the questions that are written down there's one other question that we would normally ask both the chair and the CO or representative, is if they have any questions or concerns of the BCPC that they would like you to take back to the BCPC. Remember, we are there as their mouthpiece to the BCPC, the same as we are there as BCPC's mouthpiece to them. So we need to ask them for their input or any, are there any messages, concerns, questions they have for the BCPC? Then you follow that with one more. I would normally follow that with one more point. And I think this is one of the most important ones, not because I'm wearing the hat of the chair of that committee, but this is where we remind every one of the SSE members, staff, etc., that they should be thinking about the people on their committee that need to be recognized by awards. Okay, you have to give them the importance of the honors and awards system that we have in place, and get them to start thinking about this as to who they would like to recognize with their awards. It's a big, again, it helps with the growth, recognizing the people.
I'll
Thanks,
just
Ron.
interject with a really good example. Today, received an award submission from an SSE, but it wasn't from the chair. It was from their treasurer for the chair. So if in your you're talking to other people in the committee and they think their chair is just the cat's meow, or the chair thinks the treasurer is the cat's meow, you can say it very specifically. It's like, well, here it is, and why don't you input? It doesn't always have to be the chair that is doing the nominating, because sometimes they are the ones holding it together, and they deserve to be recognized too. Recent example from hours ago for me.
Yeah.
Very good point. Okay,
That's
do we
all,
have
Gail.
any questions from anyone, or any other comments? Go ahead, Carol.
So when will this be available? I was trying to get that nice introduction you did about how to talk to the CO and the chairperson about the reason we're doing
The
this
reasons,
and the
yeah.
importance. Yeah, but I kind of got lost part of the way. And you're recording this. When will it be available to us so I can?
I've already made a note to send out the dialogue out to the league reps.
Oh, great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I can forward that to Vicky, and we'll send it out to you so that you've got it. And then the
Perfect.
recording is happening now, so it should be ready pretty quick
Okay.
for you to
Thank
review.
you.
Yeah, we'll put it on the website.
Okay.
Okay. I think that pretty much covers. I think all the questions are pretty straightforward, and with only giving a yes and no response, as opposed to giving out marks again, because we're trying to get away from them feeling like they're being marked or graded. We're here to help them. We're looking for a direction as to where they need some assistance and how we can tune our training videos that we put on. So if we find an area where a lot of people are having difficulties, then we can put on a training session to help them, and that's the purpose of doing these reports. Okay.
Also, as well, if at any time you want to know how your SSC is doing with respect to their compliance, you can contact the office, and we'll be more than happy to. I keep the same compliance worksheet within each file. I can scan that and email that to you, and it will be up to date as of that date, so you know where your SSC is at that point in time. I know Sheila usually does that every year, so. But yeah, that's quite available to you if you require it.
Nancy, you had a question?
No,
Or
just
comment?
a comment. Just make sure that
Yeah.
everybody knows where to find this report on the website,
Right.
because of course it's not under SSC, it's under league rep. So.
Yeah. on the website, if you go in there and League Rep, what do they call them? Resources, League Rep resources, and in the list of forms, it's under, yeah, it's at the
The
top
very
of the
first
list.
one.
Yeah, the very
BCF
first.
500.
Great.
Hey,
Again, if
Roger
you're
had a
having
question.
any difficulties finding forms and that, just give the office a call and can help you through that. Find them. Sometimes it's a little tricky, I guess.
Roger, did you have a question? No? Okay.
Okay, well, I shouldn't have to keep you longer. Michelle,